Hello and welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, we got such a powerful podcast in store for you today. I'm super excited. My friend Mary Killian is going to be speaking with us today. And we're going to be talking about the power of spirituality to overcome addictions. And, I know when I first entered the 12-step recovery path, I expected it to be like treatment, like scientifically, you tell me what's wrong, tell me what I need to do so I can beat this disease that I'm battling. And then I come to find out it's a spiritually based program. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But I was just broken enough that I was willing to do whatever the heck they told me to make the pain stop. So I learned that I can't do this on my own. It has to come through a power greater than myself, which I get through the 12-step program. And I've been granted the most amazing gift I've ever thought. So Mary, she inspires me so much. She has an amazing story of addiction that has blossomed into this beautiful life of service that anybody who knows Mary loves service and giving back. And that's how she finds her God. She has also written a book entitled The Roustabout Heart, which is fabulous. You need to check that out. She's worked with prisoners, homeless women, and actively works with addicts and alcoholics. Is it the Carolina Center for Recovery, Mary? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's truly just an amazing woman with an amazing God, which she's going to share with us today. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Kel. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm flattered. I'm absolutely flattered and humbled.
Oh,
and that takes a lot of effort for me to be humbled.
I should mention too, you also have your own podcast that people can check out. Highwire Girl. Is there any more that I need to?
No, highwiregirl.com.
Okay, there you go. All right, so check those out for Mary. Because after we get done talking, I know you're going to want to know more. There's something about Mary, like it says. So Mary, just in a nutshell, and this is hard for you, and it could be hard for me too. Just kind of give us the quick cliff notes on the life of Mary.
Okay, I've got an answer. That was that quick to put something together in my mind. This morning when I woke up, I thought, I'm going to have some time with Kelly. And I'm afraid. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what that's going to look like. I'm afraid of what she's going to ask me. I'm afraid of Zoom. I'm afraid of the unknown. I'm afraid. And I reach for God. And unless I do that, I really am paralyzed by fear, generally. And so I was able to do that this morning and just kind of invite God into the interview and say, you and I are going to meet with Kelly at 1:30, and then I can think about other things. So, I work a very, very strong program of recovery, which entails some prayer, some reading of my literature, some connecting with others. I go to meetings. I serve others. And in service, I find my God. In all of these opportunities, I find God, but mostly in connecting with others, I look for and see God.
Mary, when I was talking about in my introduction, talking about the spirituality of the recovery, were you in the same boat as me when you first kind of started exploring with this saying, what is this about with this spirituality stuff?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, because I'm a know-it-all, and the program started talking about a higher power, raised Catholic, I thought, I've already got a God. I've already got a God, and he's on the list of people who are annoyed at me. Because when I came into the program and when I first sought recovery, I was pretty much alone. I had alienated everyone who cared for me, and including God. And I did not have the relationship, surely not, that I have with him today. I was raised Catholic, and it was a childlike understanding of God. and it was one of punishment and, and I felt tremendous fear. So, I thought I knew it all and, already got that. So let's move on to something else because I need to figure out, how to get around the details, because that's what I'd known, what I knew what to do is just to get around the details and, have a shortcut life.
And I think, what surprised me because I too grew up Catholic and I went to Catholic school and I went to church. I started going back to church before I actually got sober. Lots of times I went drunk, Mary, but I was there. But I think when they said, okay, talk to God, I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean talk to God? What are you talking about? How do you talk to God? All I knew to do to talk to God was say the Hail, Our Father, act of contrition, whatever. I didn't know how to really talk to God. How do you talk to God, Mary?
Well, that's a terrific question because, when I first got sober, it was suggested that I pray. And in all honesty, like beyond just going, hey, God, what's up? I had nothing to say, or I felt as though I had nothing to say. I did not have any language with which to communicate with God. Fancy prayers that I call them, prayers that like the Our Father and the Hail Mary and the act of contrition. Those are fancy prayers. And I could not really connect in a way where I could, even concentrate on the words. I didn't feel as though I understood what the words meant. And so it was just lip service.
Yep.
The way
I
started to communicate with God was I went to the grocery store and in the little, the carousel of Harlequin romances and all the little books that they sell in the grocery store, they were selling these little positive affirmation books. And I picked up one of them and it spoke to me enough that I thought I could do this. I had one book that was recommended for me through recovery. And I turned to that one to develop a language with God. And I started there. And then I started picking up these little affirmation books. Now, keep in mind, it was so flexible for me because some of the things I read, I didn't really, they didn't speak to me. But, I got into this wonderful suggestion of taking what I need and leaving the rest. So, that was a beautiful, beautiful suggestion for me. And from that, my relationship with God grew. I got to the point where in the morning for me is best. I spend time with God and, I just spend time in quiet time before my day blows out. And it soothes and strengthens me as I move forward into the morning and into the rest of the day. And I'm talking with God pretty much like I'm talking to you right now all day long.
And that's me too as well. I can't imagine going through a day without constantly talking to my God,
Mm-hmm.
and true, that's how we get through our average day. But there's times, and you and I have both had this recently, where bad things happen. Life throws us a curveball and we are like, holy mackerel.
Mm-hmm.
It's those times more than ever that God comes to play, isn't it, Mary?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. And, they come from out of nowhere. And it's usually, it's a feeling that I don't want to feel is generally what rubs me the wrong way. And I'll give you an example. Just recently, someone who, an acquaintance of mine had come into my life and my reaction to her was not my proudest moment. I felt some jealousy. I felt some insecurity. I felt some things that really surprised me. And I wanted very badly to project that on her. It's because of her. It's because of, she's making me feel this way. And what's so great about the God of my understanding and the program of recovery that I'm in is I know if I stick just to myself, that feeling will overwhelm me. So instead, I get opportunities to talk to other individuals and run my behavior past them, and I get to see God show up in them and make suggestions and give me their opinions about what's truly going on. And that, you know, in this situation in particular was remedied almost automatically, almost immediately, instead of me holding on to it, hanging on to it, you know, really clutching at it and making more damage, you know, like hurting myself even worse than the feelings I was feeling.
Yeah, yeah, and you know that was something that came to mind, and I know this has happened to you too, where you've been working with another person, and I know you work with many, many people who need help, which you know is one of the beauties of you, Mary. And I've been working with people, and I know you've had this experience where suddenly you start spouting out this amazing stuff, and you're like, whoa, as you're saying it's like feels surreal. It's like, how is this coming? This is some good stuff coming out here. What? And then you come to realize, yeah, it's not you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny. My husband overheard me chatting with someone on the phone the other day, and he said, "What was it that you were saying? That something about something?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Like I don't even realize, and I couldn't remember what it was that I had said, but I wish I had, because you know, like I guess the way it sounds to someone else sounds very learned, and like I just think I'm not particularly a learned person, at least in my mind's eye, but somewhere along the line, like I've developed, you know, an ability with the tools that I'm given to be able to share what I've learned. And I do know that like the beauty comes from being able to share it with someone else and seeing the light go on for them.
And
Seeing
I think God speaks through you, or you know, when I have those moments, I know it's God. It's not me. It's God. You know, we're lucky enough we get to be the messengers, right, Mary? We're
Oh
the
my
messenger.
God. It's so true, because I always will say to folks, if you see anything you like on me, I promise you it's not me. You know, I promise you it's not me. You know, because at my baseline, I know who and what I am, you know, and I'm a work in progress. Absolutely. So if there's anything, you know, charming or appealing, it's God.
What do you say to these people who are broken, who have given up, and they feel there's no God? What? How do you handle that, Mary?
Well, you know, it isn't something that's going to happen automatically. So, you know, it is what I love about the program of recovery that I'm involved in is the opportunity to be walked through it alongside someone. And that individual is kind and generous enough to show me the ropes, so to speak. You know, I've tried everything by myself to not have to give up my drugs of choice, and it didn't work. I tried everything, and given the opportunity to try this, to try growing a God of my understanding, to try spirituality, I was not really interested, because I just didn't feel as though it would work, you know, but it is worth, it's worth the effort. It's worth, it's like a growing a muscle. I always think, man, I grew my muscles of knowing how to use my drugs of choice. I certainly did. And now I get the opportunity to expend all that energy that I used to devote to, you know, to what I like to do into this.
You know, they say that the old saying, religion is for people afraid of hell, spirituality is for people who've been there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I like to live in the knowing that, you know, I've seen some things, I've done some things. My God is good. And my dark past sheds tremendous light on my present and my future. So, you know, I adhere to that suggestion of, I do not want to forget the past, I use that to guide me moving forward. And, and I also think, I believe that my God forgives. And if God has forgiven me some of these things that I've done, that's a marvelous thing. That's a marvelous miracle. And I believe it in my heart. What I also like is I didn't have to believe it right away. I could make like I believed it until I did. And it's like exercise, unless I go in to the gym and work on the machines, I'm not really getting any exercise. When my sons were little, there was a little yogurt shop in the hallway of the gym where we would go. And when I would work out, they would sit at the cafe tables and drink smoothies. And that was their workout. I remember them saying that was their workout. And I just thought to myself, like, this is perfect. I get the opportunity to, to see what that looks like on them. What I like too is, I was looking for a relationship and not a religion. I love knowing that about God. Like, we truly are in relationship. And what I love about working with others is reminding them of the availability of God reminds me that God is available to me, and what an asset he is in my life. And I love being able to see God grow from nothing in people, from zero faith, and watch a faith grow and be able to glean wonderful, beautiful things from them as their relationship grows and their health returns, their health is restored.
You also have your people you work with tell you what their God looks like, don't you?
Oh my gosh, it's the most wonderful thing. And, like initially, I think that's a difficult concept to take on. We do physical attributes and, like what do you want? What does God look like in your mind? Or what would you like to see that God look like? And, for me personally, like my God changes shape. Like sometimes I like an older God I like all the regalia. I like the beard, I like the clean robes.
The Merlin look, yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes I like young, hip God. And, it all depends on what I'm going through at the moment. I used to, at one point I remember thinking like God is like Fonzie and I am Richie Cunningham from Happy Days. I am like the nerd and Fonzie is like, this really together guy who was so cool. And that's what my God is at times. And we also talk about like these beautiful attributes that our God has. I didn't have a particularly lovey-dovey dad growing up, and my God is available and generous and kind and and a lot of the things that I feel like I missed out on as a child, but like God is so good that I don't feel resentful, that God gives me everything I need. And I also know that my folks did the best they could, and that is a gift from God.
That's one of the great spiritual toolkit gifts, isn't it? The gift of forgiveness.
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I hate talking about my husband again, but I'm going to.
Do it.
So the other day he says to me something about there are some things that cannot be forgiven. And then he turned to me and he said, right, as if, I'm a resource, of facts. And he goes, right, there are some things that can absolutely not be forgiven. And, my response to that was, it all depends on how free you want to be. It all depends. Like if you only want to be partially free, then, okay, forgive just a little, but I want total freedom from that oppression. So I'll go in whole hog, and I know that works for me. It might take me a while to get there, but I know that that's the goal. So, because I want complete freedom from whatever that oppressing feeling is.
Yeah, I've heard it said, forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, it's just poison for us when we hold on to that. So, I mean, you had the perfect answer there, Mary. And I was talking to somebody about this. You know, we're going through the whole pandemic thing right now, if you haven't heard. But I was talking about spiritual PPE, spiritual protective equipment. And for me, I found I can't go wrong if I mix gratitude with love. That is my spiritual firewall against anything. Anything I encounter will, as long as I can bring gratitude, love, that's my glove, my PPE, I'm spiritually protected. What do you think of that idea?
Well, gratitude is, wow, that brings my head of steam down, which it really does help to calm and soothe me. Because, you know, I can sit in a place of either resentment and self-pity, but when I reach for gratitude and start really itemizing the things I have that are good going on in my life, you know, the list becomes extraordinary. It truly does become extraordinary. I was chatting with someone this morning. I could hear in her voice just, oh, it was a beautiful exchange. I could hear in her voice how self-pitying she was. And I thought to myself, God, I'm going in, cover me, you know, and I said to her, I can hear it in your voice, but my God is bigger than my fear that you'll be mad at me if I mention it. So let's pull you out. Let's climb out of that self-pity and let's start with a gratitude list. You know, and we were able to, grateful for a handy husband, grateful for cooperative children, grateful for the assistance that was given to her in the home because they're doing some home improvement. And, you know, just like grateful for opportunity to have friends who are so helpful and, you know, come alongside us to support us and carry us through. You know, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. You know, so it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And I can go to resentment real quick. You know, I'm from New York, and I'm pretty negative to begin with.
No, you're not.
You know, but it's just like, it's a wonderful, uplifting option, you know, and it works every time, every single time.
Can't fail, cannot fail. All right, honey, we're coming. I like that. We could talk Mary and I could talk forever.
Absolutely.
And don't think there won't be other Mary episodes.
You'll have to have me back.
You're going to be my recurring guest.
Absolutely.
But before we leave, I always like to ask this of my guest, because this is a self-help podcast. And our motto is we offer a message of hope to help and heal. So, Mary, what is your message of hope today that you would like to share?
Okay. Oh my gosh, I have so many, but I'm going to go to one that really always gives me so much joy. Okay, I've got two. The first one is that God does not forget us. Sometimes when we feel neglected or abandoned or left out, it's a wonderful reminder that God has his eyes on us. And for whatever reason, that provides me with so much comfort, you know, that I have not been forgotten. I am not left out. I'm not being neglected. And I know my God is good. He's proved it to me over and over and over again. The other one that I really love is I sometimes don't know what I'm looking at, but God does. Oh my gosh. You know, like that is just so beautiful, because there are times throughout the course of the day, hundreds of times, I don't know what I'm looking at. But if it's part of God's plan, then I know whatever it is not an accident. And I have to look for him in all of these circumstances and situations that I find myself in during the day. And it almost becomes like, not like a game, but it is definitely a challenge. I look for God, you know, and in whatever I'm doing. And when I do that, I find him. I do find him.
All right, honey. Well, we're going to end with a little meditation. I'm glad you brought up the affirmations, because one of my affirmation books was The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. who I just love. He's my
Mm.
self-help guru. But I found a great meditation to end our session with today that I'm going to read, and
I love that.
we'll close it out with this, okay?
Thank
It's
you.
called Letting Go of Those Not in Recovery. We can go forward with our life and recoveries even though someone we love is not yet recovering. Picture a bridge. On one side of the bridge, it is cold and dark. We stood there with others in the cold and darkness, doubled over in pain. Some of us developed an eating disorder to cope with the pain. Some drank, some used other drugs. Some of us lost control of our sexual behavior. Some of us obsessively focused on addicted people's pain to distract us from our own pain. Many of us did both. We developed an addictive behavior and distracted ourselves by focusing on other addicted people. We did not know there was a bridge. We thought we were trapped on a cliff. Then some of us got lucky. Our eyes opened by the grace of God because it was time. We saw the bridge. People told us what was on the other side: warmth, light, and healing from our pain. We could barely glimpse or imagine this, but we decided to start the trek across the bridge anyway. We tried to convince the people around us on the cliff that there was a bridge to a better place, but they wouldn't listen. They couldn't see it. They couldn't believe. They were not ready for the journey. We decided to go alone because we believed and because people on the other side were cheering us onward. The closer we got to the other side, the more we could see and feel that what we had been promised was real. There was light, warmth, healing, and love. The other side was a better place. But now there is a bridge between us and those on the other side. Sometimes we may be tempted to go back and drag them over with us, but it cannot be done. No one can be dragged or forced across this bridge. Each person must go on his or her own choice when the time is right. Some will come, some will stay on the other side. The choice is not ours. We can love them. We can wave to them. We can holler back and forth. We can cheer them on as others have cheered and encouraged us, but we cannot make them come over with us. If our time has come to cross the bridge, or if we've already crossed and are standing in the light and warmth, we do not have to feel guilty. It's where we're meant to be. We do not have to go back to the dark cliff because another's time has not yet come. The best thing we can do is stay in the light because it reassures others that there's a better place. And if others ever do decide to cross the bridge, we will be there to cheer them on. And that makes me think of you, my friend. You are the biggest cheerleader on the other side of the bridge, and you're pulling so many people over. So keep doing all that you do, Mary, because you're helping so many people.
Thank you, darling. And thank you for noticing. And, again, like, I just have to remember that if I want to keep this, I need to give it away, so appreciate that reminder this afternoon.
Well, thank you, honey. And thanks to you. Thank everybody else for joining into Kellyapy, the self-help podcast.
Excellent.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited about this venture. And I want to especially thank Mary for coming out and spending a little time with us and sharing her inspiration with us. It's always such a gift to talk to my friend Mary. And we'll be seeing more of her on future. Stay tuned for future Kellyapy episodes. Mary, do you have anything you want to plug really quick while I got you here? You got your podcast.
Well, let's see. You know what I want to plug? I want to plug friendship. I want to plug friendship because, like, when I sit here, I mean, I'm not in a studio or an office. I'm on my bed right now with the computer propped up on some books to make it look like I'm official. But I tell you what, opportunities to spend time with you, Kel, I mean, in friendship is something that I've only learned how to do in sobriety, in recovery. And, like, thank goodness for your example of showing me what a real friend looks like, so plug in a little plug for friendship this afternoon, because it does me a world of good. So thank you for your example, honey.
Thank you, Mary. And check us out next week. We'll be talking to another fun guest. Half an hour every week we'll be doing this.
Excellent.
So
I can't wait.
yes. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.